While Austria often ranks highly for quality of life and breathtaking landscapes, there are still challenges that come with living here. Today, we'll delve into 9 of the most significant drawbacks you might face as a resident or newcomer. By understanding these cons, you'll be better prepared and can make more informed decisions about relocating or staying. Let's jump right into the realities that don't always make the glossy brochures. Limited English-speaking job opportunities. Firstly, Austria's workforce strongly favors German proficiency. Even in cosmopolitan hubs like Vienna, English is not as widely spoken in professional environments as one might expect. Many companies and institutions conduct internal communications and client interactions primarily in German. Compounding this issue is the fact that Austrian German includes a variety of regional dialects that differ notably from standard Hochdeutsch. To underscore this challenge, only around 18% of expatriates in Austria report that learning German is straightforward, with the vast majority describing it as a steep learning curve. Long-term residents frequently emphasize that job mobility is closely tied to language skills. Even entry-level positions or internships that might accept English proficiency often require at least a foundational understanding of German. Consequently, many expats delay their move to Austria or decide to learn German intensively before attempting even entry-level work. If you're not a German speaker or willing to become one quickly, you may face significant barriers when trying to integrate into the Austrian workforce. 2. Perceived unfriendliness. Austria frequently ranks lower than many Western countries on global friendliness indexes, and this reputation isn't unfounded according to many expats' experiences. While Austrians are generally polite and follow social niceties, they often maintain a respectful distance rather than forming friendships. Those who have moved here have noted that locals can appear reserved, preferring well-established social circles over welcoming new faces. In fact, more than half of expatriates report difficulty making local friends, attributing it to a combination of cultural differences and Austrians' tendency to socialize within the same networks they've known since childhood. Cultural norms in Austria emphasize privacy and separation between personal and professional life. As a result, casual encounters don't always lead to invitations for dinner or weekend plans. Over time, though, many expats find that persistent efforts such as joining clubs, taking language courses, or attending community events slowly break down these barriers. Understanding this challenge early on helps you remain patient and proactive, rather than feeling discouraged by an initial lack of genuine connection. 3. Retirement requirements. If you've contributed to Austria's pension system through your work, you may eventually qualify for a state pension. However, hitting that milestone is no easy feat. The minimum contribution period is 180 months. That's 15 full years of paying into the system before any pension benefits become available. In addition, the official retirement ages differ by gender. Men must reach 65, and women currently retire at 60, though this is gradually rising to 65 by 2033. This staggered timeline can create confusion and financial planning issues. Additionally, the state pensions are subject to national income tax. Thankfully, Austria has several double taxation agreements that can help prevent residents from being taxed twice if they also draw pensions from other countries. Navigating the details of these agreements is a complex process requiring careful financial or legal guidance. All things considered, retiring in Austria means more than simply knowing your age and contribution history. It demands an understanding of evolving regulations, tax obligations, and lifestyle costs. 4. Cost of living. Austria's generous social services come at the price of a high-tax environment. With a progressive tax system that can reach rates as high as 55%, many residents feel a significant portion of their income is diverted to fund state programs. Despite the return of high-quality healthcare, education, and public transportation, it can be burdensome for those who earn close to minimum wage. Meanwhile, the cost of living in cities such as Vienna and Innsbruck is often described as steep. Over a third of expatriates in Austria express dissatisfaction with how much they spend on basic needs. Everyday expenses, utilities, or a simple dinner out are comparatively higher than in many neighboring countries. Expats should also be prepared for additional costs tied to environmental fees, such as waste disposal or water usage surcharges. If you aren't earning in a high salary bracket, balancing your budget may require cutting back on certain luxuries or considering a more suburban or rural location to offset city living costs. Conservative social norms. Austrian society tends toward the conservative side, placing a strong emphasis on tradition and etiquette. For newcomers from liberal cultures, this formality can feel restrictive. Where casual dress codes or spontaneous social gatherings are the norm elsewhere, Austrians often expect a certain level of decorum and planning. For example, punctuality isn't merely preferred, but widely regarded as a social obligation. Being even a few minutes late can come across as disrespectful. Spontaneous visits or last-minute dinner invites are rare, as most interactions require scheduling weeks in advance. In workplaces, hierarchical structures and formal communication styles often prevail, which can frustrate those accustomed to flatter corporate cultures. Even dress expectations, from business attire to casual weekend wear, can be more formal than you're used to. Over time, though, embracing these norms can help you integrate more smoothly, but it requires patience and willingness to accept rigid structures as part of daily life. 6. Bureaucratic processes. Austria's reputation for efficiency doesn't always extend to its bureaucracy. Residents and newcomers frequently report that administrative tasks like registering your address, applying for visas, or renewing identification documents can be labyrinthine. Paperwork often comes exclusively in German, forcing non-speakers to seek translation assistance or rely on bilingual friends to decipher official forms. Even seemingly straightforward procedures, such as renewing a residence permit or signing up for utilities, can involve multiple visits to different offices, each demanding the right set of documents and proper stamps. Moreover, recent policy changes have made family reunification and visa extensions more stringent, reflecting a broader trend of tighter immigration controls. If you're sponsoring a spouse or child, you might now face longer waiting times, additional documentation requirements, and more stringent proof of financial stability than in the past. Ultimately, anyone living in Austria should allocate extra time and resources to handle bureaucratic procedures, as even minor mistakes can lead to major setbacks. Healthcare wait times. Austria is celebrated for its high-quality healthcare system, but high quality doesn't always mean rapid access. One frequently cited con is the lengthy waiting times for non-urgent medical services. In Vienna or Graz, it's still possible to see a specialist within weeks, but if you live in more rural alpine regions, getting an appointment could take several weeks or even months. Dental care, certain elective procedures, and specialist consultations are particularly prone to delays. Many patients opt to pay out of pocket or buy supplementary private health insurance to sidestep public waiting lists. Once you do get an appointment, the level of care is exceptional and rarely compromised. Nonetheless, it can be stressful when you're experiencing prolonged discomfort or pain while waiting for treatment eligibility. Digital infrastructure limitations. Some expatriates and residents encounter frustrating gaps in digital services. For instance, a surprising number of small cafes, shops, and markets still prefer cash transactions over cards or mobile payments. This reliance on cash can be inconvenient if you're traveling between countries or relying on digital banking apps. Additionally, bureaucratic online systems like submitting tax returns or filling out municipal registration forms often feature outdated interfaces. Even when an English translation is available, it's frequently incomplete or laced with awkward phrasing, making the process tedious for non-German speakers. Small municipalities may lack user-friendly platforms, so you'll find yourself printing forms, scanning documents, and driving to offices instead of doing everything with a click. Limited diversity. Last but not least, cultural diversity outside Austria's major cities remains relatively limited. Vienna, Linz, and Graz boast multicultural neighborhoods, international restaurants, and expat communities that foster an inclusive atmosphere. However, venture into smaller towns or alpine villages, and you'll notice a more homogenized population. This lack of diversity can impact everything, from the availability of international grocery items to the presence of cultural festivals that celebrate non-Austrian traditions. Additionally, educational institutions in rural areas typically have fewer language programs tailored to expatriate families, potentially complicating schooling decisions for those with children. While some expatriates cherish the cozy feel of tight-knit, predominantly Austrian communities, others feel this homogeneity can hinder a truly globalized lifestyle. While Austria undoubtedly offers a high standard of living, these 10 cons highlight areas that prospective residents should consider carefully. By acknowledging these downsides up front, you can navigate challenges and find solutions that make life in Austria enriching rather than frustrating. Thank you for watching. If this video delivered value, consider liking or subscribing. See you next time.